Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. Economic impact payments being sent by prepaid debit cards arrive in plain envelopes. IRS answers frequently asked questions. IR 2020-105, May 27th, 2020. Washington. As economic impact payments continue to be successfully delivered, the Internal Revenue Service today reminds taxpayers that some payments are being sent by prepaid debit card. The debit cards arrive in a plain envelope from, quote, Money Network Cardholder Services, end quote. Nearly 1 million people are being sent their economic impact payment by prepaid debit card instead of paper check. The determination of which taxpayers received a debit card was made by the Bureau of the Fiscal Service, a part of the Treasury Department that works with the IRS to handle distribution of the payments. Those who receive their economic impact payments by prepaid debit card can do the following without any fees. Make purchases online and at any retail location where Visa is accepted. Get cash from the network ATMs. Transfer funds to their personal bank account. Check their card balance online by mobile app or by phone. This free prepaid card also provides consumer protections available to traditional bank accounts owners, including protection against fraud, loss, and other errors. Frequently asked questions continually updated on IRS.gov, IRS.gov. The IRS has two sets of frequently asked questions to help Americans get answers about their economic impact payments, including those arriving on prepaid debit cards. These FAQs, frequently asked questions, include answers to eligibility and other many common questions, including help to use two economic impact payment tools. Get My Payment, there's a link to Get My Payment here on IRS.gov tool, shows the projected date when a direct deposit has been scheduled or date when the payment will be mailed by check or prepaid debit card. The non-filers enter payment info tool, there's a link to that here, there'll be a link to this in the description, helps taxpayers successfully submit basic information to receive economic impact payments quickly. So basically, if you want to check on the payments and whether they have been going out, if they're scheduled to go out, you want to check the Get My Payment tool, and you can check that maybe like once a day. They say they update it once a day, so if you check it like in the morning and the evening, that should be enough to kind of check on that. And then the non-filer enter payment info tool at this point is something that could be used if you think that you should be receiving an economic impact payment, but that the IRS may not have the sufficient information because possibly you didn't file the tax returns in the prior year, and they don't have any other kind of payment information that would be going to you, including Social Security payments or things like that, which are organizations the IRS is working with. If you're not on the IRS's radar, either with tax returns or some other kind of payment that the IRS would know about through government payment, and therefore be able to possibly process your check, then still, or your payment, your economic impact payment, then that tool might be a useful one to go through as well. Back to the text. The IRS regularly updates the economic impact payment and Get My Payment frequently asked questions pages on IRS.gov as more information becomes available. Obviously, this is a new program, so both of these things are new, so they're doing the frequently asked questions pages. They're making updates as they happen. This isn't something that's happened in the past, so there's obviously more questions about them and changes as they go, and they're still continually updating those frequently asked questions. So if you have an unusual circumstance of some kind, then that's probably the first place that you want to go. Back to the text. Taxpayers should check frequently asked questions FAQs often for the latest editions. Here are answers to some of the top questions people are asking about the prepaid debit cards. Can I have my economic impact payment sent to my prepaid debit card? There's a link to that here. Answer, maybe. It depends on your prepaid card and whether your payment has already been scheduled. Many reloadable prepaid cards have account and routing numbers that you could provide to the IRS through the Get My Payment application or non-filers. Enter payment info here tool. You would need to check with the financial institution to ensure your card can be reused and to obtain the routing number and account number, which may be different from the card number. So basically you got to give them the information kind of like the banking information for this process. And notice you got kind of three numbers that you're dealing with: the banking number, the routing number, and that could be different basically than the card number. So if you're dealing with a card that's going to be a temporary card, you want to make sure that you have a current card, and then you could use one of the tools then to see if you can give the banking information that would go to that card. You want to make sure if you do so then to pick up the proper information that they're going to need to route the payment. Back to the text. If you obtained your prepaid debit card through the filing of a federal tax return, you must contact the financial institution that issued your prepaid debit card to get the correct routing number and account number. So they basically need the routing number and the account number, which again could be different than the number that's actually on the card. So you got to make sure that you get the proper information, kind of like the normal, bank transfer kind of information that you would need in order to provide that to the IRS so they know, they're able to process that. Back to the text. To not use the routing number and account number shown on your copy of the tax return filed. Once again, do not use the routing number and account number shown on your copy of the tax return filed. When providing this information to the IRS, you should indicate that the account and routing number provided are for a checking account unless your financial institution indicates otherwise. So the default then would be to indicate it's a checking account unless the financial institution says otherwise. Will IRS be sending prepaid debit cards? Some payments may be sent on a prepaid debit card known as the Economic Impact Payment Card. The Economic Impact Payment Card is sponsored by the Treasury Department's Bureau of Fiscal Service, managed by Money Network Financial, LLC, and issued by Treasury's financial agent, MetBank, N.A. If you receive an Economic Impact Payment Card, it will arrive in a plain envelope from, quote, Money Network Cardholder Services, end quote. The Visa name will appear on the front of the card. The back of the card has the name of the issuing bank, MetaBank, N.A. Information including the card included with the card will explain that the card is your Economic Impact Payment Card. Please go to EIPcard.com. There's a link to that here for more information. Can I specifically ask the IRS to send the Economic Impact Payment to me as a debit card? Not at this time. For those who don't receive their Economic Impact Payment by direct deposit, they will receive their payment by paper check and, in a few cases, by debit card. The determination of which taxpayers receive a debit card will be made by the Bureau of the Fiscal Services, BFS, another part of the Treasury Department that works with the IRS to handle distribution of the payments. BFS is sending nearly 4 million debit cards to taxpayers starting in mid-May. At this time, taxpayers cannot make a selection to receive a debit card. Please go to EIPcard.com for more information. There's a link to that here. Watch out for scams related to economic impact payments. Again, obviously, there's a lot of payments, and they're talking about debit cards and sending payments out and whatnot. So that means that the likelihood for people to see this as an opportunity to have scams or whatnot will likely increase, an increase in spam type of mail, so phishing type of attempts, and likely that will be indicating or result in people looking for information in those attempts. So that means emails, that means text messages, that means phone, and even the traditional mail. And if you have any questions on anything, of course, if there's any urgency that someone sends something that says, hey, I need this information now because the IRS is sending out this payment, that's usually part of the process to kind of get people to respond quickly. So what you want to do is always go back to the IRS page. So the general rule is anytime you get that kind of information, and you're not likely to get a text or an email from the IRS, and you're certainly not going to get one asking you to download a link or something like that with an email or a text from the IRS. But if you get anything that you want to follow up on, then you want to go to the IRS directly, IRS website, and then follow up on it from that point. Back to the text. The IRS urges taxpayers to be on the lookout for scams related to economic impact payments. To use the new app or get information, taxpayers should visit IRS.gov, IRS.gov. People should watch out for scams using email, phone calls, or text related to the payments. Be careful and cautious. The IRS will not send unsolicited electronic communication asking people to open attachments, visit a website, or share personal or financial information. Remember, go directly and solely to IRS.gov for official information. So again, if there's any attachments, if there's any kind of go to this website or give us this information, and usually now you got to do it now, or else you're gonna miss the payment. Then that's not something the IRS will do. So, but again, if you have any questions to it, you want to go to the source. It'll take a little bit, Usually it's a timing urgency thing, but you want to go to the source, the IRS, and then work from there. Quick links to frequently asked questions. So you got economic impact payment. There's a link to that here. There'll be a link to this in the description. Get my payment tool, link to that here. Please go to the EIPcard.com as well. Link to that here. There'll be a link to this in the description.